In 1890, as tensions between homesteaders and stock growers intensify, Wyoming enters the Union as the 44th state, with Cheyenne as its capital. Cattle barons are appointed to important positions in the government, hold meetings in the capital, and have a hand in electing the state's governor and its 2 senators.
All 3 of them are Republicans. President Benjamin Harrison is also a Republican, so these are people who know each other, so they're optimistic that they'll get some cooperation.
As the cattle barons consolidate their power, the nation itself is in the midst of a fight between workers and the millionaires who employ them.
Thousands of miles away in Homestead, Pennsylvania, Andrew Carnegie is in the midst of crushing the steel workers union. He sees these unionized workers as people that are undermining his ability to make his millions, and so he does everything in his power to crush them, including hiring a private army of 300 Pinkertons.
Mark Twain described the years between 1875 and 1900 as the Gilded Age, a result of the Industrial Revolution, where people at the top enjoyed enormous wealth and power, at the expense of factory workers in the East and small farmers in the West.
These enormous natural resources of the country, this vast amount, the whole lot of it is coming into the ownership of a smaller and smaller group of people. At this point, the wealthy have the power to be able to incite violence at a mass level against the smaller guys, and at times they do.
As it is in the East, so it goes in the West, but the cattle barons go even further and hire private armies to take out their worst enemies.
The cattle barons make a list of 70 individuals up in Johnson County that must be eliminated, by which I mean eliminated. And the number 1 they want to get is Nate Champion.
The news terrifies small homesteaders in Wyoming, but some realize if they want to survive, they must band together and fight back. One of them is Nate Champion.
Nate Champion grows up in Texas. He works in various places as a ranch hand, as the cowboy riding the ranges. He knew how the business worked.
Champion moved to Johnson County in the 1870s to set up his own ranch, and has grown his herd to over 200 cattle. But right now, the future looks bleak. Homesteaders fear being murdered or falsely prosecuted for fencing off their own land.
People are dying, and there's a real climate of fear. Nate Champion's one of the few people that does not get completely scared off by this.
The list included many homesteaders in Nate Champion's Northern Wyoming Stock Growers Association, and anyone whose homestead is in the way.
This is not just a bunch of ranchers or hired hands or cowboys. The kill list is of prominent people in Johnson County, sheriffs and judges and city council members and newspapermen. So it's a civil war, effectively.
The Stock Growers Association decides they're going to need to get some hired guns for this.
They recruit 25 desperados, gunmen from Texas, with the promise of $5 a day for expenses and $50 for every rustler that they kill.
Now to us, they look like hitmen. To them, they were bringing justice to Johnson County, a place that in their minds had descended into anarchy.
People in Johnson County are going to call them invaders because they're coming to basically invade Johnson County, to take over and to kill people.
The hired guns travel from Texas by a private train to meet the cattle barons in Frank Canton.
They're then equipped with horses, with rifles. They have a wagon that's got tons of ammunition and food and even dynamite. And off they go, headed for the heart of Johnson County.
On the way, they find out that Nate Champion is staying on the KC Ranch, which is right on the way to Buffalo. And they thought if they could ambush Champion, they would get one of their key suspects off their list, cutting the head off the snake.
As they near the KC Ranch, the invaders cut the telegraph lines to prevent news of their arrival from getting to Johnson County.
On April 9th, 1892, the cattle barons' vigilante army quietly surrounds the KC Ranch.
Nate Champion is staying at the KC Ranch along with one of his friends and 2 other men.
2 of the guys go out to get water, and they don't come back. Nate Champion and his friend Nick Ray realize that where are they? Something's going on here.
Ray decides he's gonna go look.
Suddenly, Champion, he knows what's going on. And the question is, can he get out alive?
He's outgunned here by 50 to 1, but he actually hits 3 of them, and he does manage to keep them at bay for several hours.
And so a standoff ensues. He was holed up in his cabin. There wasn't a lot he could do. He could give up, but he knows that might mean certain death. Nate Champion is under siege, and yet he starts to take a diary and write down what's happening.
I see 12 or 15 men. One of them looks like Frank Canton.
You start to think that even though he's very alone, he feels like he's part of something bigger.
He's going to provide evidence that the cattlemen were behind the attack so that if he was going to die, at least he wasn't going to die in vain.
At one point, a friend of his rides by and exchanges gunfire with these hired invader gunmen.
He realizes that something really bad is going on here, and so he galloped back to Buffalo to get help.
Frank Canton and his hitman suspect that rescuers from Buffalo will soon be on their way, and they better get Nate Champion fast. And Nate Champion is shooting, writing.
The house is all fired. Boys, there's bullets coming in like hail. Don't think they intend to let me get away this time.
He's surrounded by dozens of killers. There's no way out. Astonishing that he writes a journal at that time.
I think I'll make a break for it. They're still shooting it all around the house. Goodbye, boys, if I never see you again.
Champion knows that this isn't going to end well for him.
He makes a run for the ravine. There are all these people shooting at him.
And Nate Champion is gunned down in a hail of bullets.
Frank Canton finds Nate's diary. He tears out a page and leaves a warning on Nate's body.
That note is a key part of the story. Because killing Nate Champion, in a way, it's an act of terrorism. More than about enforcing the law or finding justice, it's about scaring people. It's about telling people what'll happen, even if they think they're going to get away with it. And it's about telling people what's going to happen if they cross the Wyoming Stock Growers Association. Johnson County is not going to be welcome to people like Nate Champion anymore.